Pylon in Karnak complex, which basically is the new kingdom part of the temple. Where again, like the pylon that we have in here is the Nubian attempt for the modification or the expansion to the temple grounds, where it dates back to approximately 600 BC. They never really got to rule the country, I mean, for very long. In order to be able to pylon in here, once again, they had humongous doors. Well, that's the size of the doors, as large as these indentations. And again, it had taken 15 people this time to push each side of those doors open or shut during the big festivals and celebrations. And again, they were made out of that wood that would be imported all the way from Lebanon, which is the cedar wood, and they would be connected to the gate by the hinge, is what has been under the ground, I mean, or under the rubble and the sand. So, I mean, it was completely or partially buried under the rubble and the sand, and that's what had helped in preserving it and protecting it for all these years. In the 14th century, followed by the hypostyle hole, which is that hole with the 134 pillars in the shape of a papyrus plan, followed by the 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th pylons, and then it would be followed by the innermost sanctuary. So this basically is the end of the new kingdom part of the temple. But anything behind it would be the Middle Kingdom, approximately at 2200 BC. We call it the Karnak complex due to the fact that it's not just the one temple, it's a combination of a lot of temples together in the one ground. But they all are basically or reshaped, you know, through the years, where people had lived around and on the remains of that ramp. And remember, the whole area had been accumulating with rubble and sand to completely cover or partially cover most of the temple grounds. This was something that looked like a niche. You guys see that? Like a shell.
Yes. Yeah.
Huh? You guys see that? Yeah. Our concept of building a wall. 2 blocks at a time. Like I mean, overlapping, what do you call it? Like I mean, when there are 2 on this.
Alternating.
Huh?
Alternating.
Alternating, thank you. Alternating, you know, until the building or the wall, like I mean, the pillar itself is approaching the point where the block of the architrave will be placed. And as they are complete with the whole thing, they will be removing the ramp, giving the final shape to the actual pillar itself. So it's basically the same process of a building. Yeah, I would like you to, like, I mean, try and absorb as much as possible. I mean, you know, you can't really absorb it all in, but I mean, the area that we are in here right now is the hypostyle hall, or the hall of the pillars, consisting of 134 pillars in the shape of the papyrus plan. It has been attempted to be constructed by the Pharaoh Seti I, and was completed by his son Ramses II. Seti I is one of the pharaohs that had an era that is very famous with very high quality inscription and high quality art in general. And he'd be able to tell the difference between the 2 different qualities of the art that basically are on the walls and the pillars in relation or in comparison with the deep sunk in inscriptions that form the bands that go around these pillars themselves. Where these deep inscriptions here are those that were made by the Pharaoh Ramses II. So it looks to me like basically the whole thing was done by the Pharaoh Seti I or during his lifetime, and then came Ramses II and added that deep sunk in inscription. It's like his own signature. So, like, I mean, adding a little ribbon on what has already been there, you know. So to me it looks like he just took the credit of the complex part, I mean, instead of having it really constructed. Seti I, by the way, has the most beautiful temple there is in Egypt, in my point of view, in the area of Abydos. And that's again where we believe that, or according to the reason why, it is that piece of stone with the inscription or the dedication inscribed on it, and it will be topped with that little film medium to make sure it would be reaching or approaching its destination, which is the sky and the sun god himself. The obelisk in the backdrop is one of the 2 that were originally dedicated to the god Amun by the Queen Hatshepsut from the 18th dynasty, where she is the stepdaughter of the Pharaoh Thutmose I, wife of Thutmose II, stepmother of Thutmose III, where she is the one that we have seen some of her artifacts in the Egyptian Museum, the very first, I mean, like within our first stay in there. And again, like, is basically where pieces of stone, the obelisk itself, which is 270 tons out of 1 piece of granite, and it sits on that little pedestal down in here. There is no chance that you can insert anything in between. Huh? And again, like it used to be, those two flat surfaces, and the obelisk just sits on that pedestal based on its weight and ballast. No foundations under the ground. And that means that there would be no chance that the obelisk wouldn't be 100% upright. No chance. Don't ever think that there would be an obelisk that could be slightly have. And here's once again the dedication that was made by that Queen Hatshepsut to the god Amun Ra, which is the god that we have standing up there with the two plumes on top of his head. You guys see that? That fellow with the two plumes on top of the head, and the queen herself is the other fellow that stands right in front of him. And the text that we have starting from the top to the bottom in here is basically the dedication that was made by her, you know, to him, and hoping that she will be getting an eternity for the dedication. Original layout of the sanctuary, of the original sanctuary, although it is the same original material that it once formed the original chapel or sanctuary, but yet it's a reconstruction that took place by the Greeks. Where, as a Greek, I mean, they have done care and reconstruction to all the Egyptian temples throughout the whole country, mainly their sanctuaries. And that's one of those reconstructions that took place by the Greeks. You can see the figures of the god Amun decorating the side walls to the sanctuary in here, where he takes two different forms. One, where we'd be able to see him as he stands with the two, as he sits on the throne with the two plumes on top of the head, and that would be the god Amun, the head of the Theban tribe, consisting of himself, his wife, the goddess Mut, and their son, the moon god Khonsa. And then you have the other form of his that he takes during the festival of Opet, or during the fertility season, where he goes from here to the honeymoon of his with his wife, the goddess Moon, in the Luxor temple. And that would be the god Amun, god of fertility, and you'd be able to see him as he stands with two plumes on top of his head, like holding a flame in one hand, and the main organ would be erected. That's the form of that god Amun, the god of fertility, and that's basically where he would be receiving the main offering. Is where the pharaoh is being purified or sanctified, where the god Horus, the falcon-headed god, on the right side. And the left end is where the god Thoth, or Jehuti, the ibis-headed god of wisdom, writing, and healing. Both of them are pouring the sanctifying water, symbolized for by the signs of life and success. And the next scene on the left end of the top row is where both of them, also both gods, are adjusting the crown above the pharaoh's head. The hypostyle hall with the 134 pillars that we have partially explored in the New Kingdom part. Let's go inside and see how it compares. Style hall that we have explored of the New Kingdom, but yet I think here there's more vivid colors than over there, simply because the ceilings are still intact. And again, like the colors that we have in here basically were not exposed to the rays of the sun at all. So that's basically the reason why the colors are in a much better shape in here, where you can still see the red, the brown, the ochre, the yellow, the white, light blue, and dark blue. So all the colors basically are still in here in a perfect shape. Hypostyle in here is made in the shape of lotus flower instead of papyrus. And it's not only that, it just happened to, serve as a perfect basilica when the early Christians that were escaping the Roman torture from the northern ends of the country had come to use these, sites in the upper part of the country that were. But again, they are made in the shape of the original pillars, where originally there would be something that would be put in here, which is basically a barge. Okay. A barge that would go through here, and that's the reason why they want to enlarge the area where the barge would whether go or symbolically go.